It is very simple. The names of visual reflex, some of I've already discussed. So for me, just to give you recap and explanation of the diagram, you can read this particular material, but I'm giving you explanation of the diagram. Diagram looks complicated, but it's not so. If you know the fact how to trace. Okay, so let's understand this diagram. Clear? That this is what is the eye, and if I throw a light in one of the eye, any one, okay, the light will pass from this particular optic. No, okay, it will go to the optic tract, and then some fibers from optic tract leave and goes to the midbrain. In the midbrain, there is a nucleus which is known as pretactal nucleus. In the midbrain, there is a pretactal nucleus. This pretactal nucleus sends fibers to both the side of oculomotor nerve nucleus. Oculomotor nerve is the third cranial nerve, and its nucleus is in the midbrain. So the fibers projecting from pretactal nucleus goes to the both side of oculomotor nucleus. We trace again. So light is shown in this side, for example, and now the light reflects ultimately will pass from the impulse will pass from this to here, and before it goes to the geniculate body, the fibers leave. These fibers goes to the pretactal nucleus, which is here in the midbrain, and from the pretactal nucleus, fibers goes to the same side oculomotor nucleus and opposite side oculomotor nucleus also. And from the oculomotor nucleus, the fibers will go to the ciliary ganglion here in the orbit. There is a ganglion. It's a parasympathetic ganglion. So fibers relay here. And then the fibers travel in ciliary nerves, goes to the sphincter pupillae muscle here. Sphincter pupillae muscle here. So once you throw the light, the sphincter pupillae muscle will contract and pupil will become narrow. We call it pupillary reflex because the light I thrown on one eye and I can see the contraction of pupil on that eye. We call it direct light reflex. Direct light or direct pupillary reflex or direct light reflex. Okay, pupillary reflex or direct light reflex. But because the fibers are going to the opposite side oculomotor nucleus also, and then this ciliary ganglion and this also. So when you throw light on one and see on another pupil, other pupil is also constricting. Not only the one which you have thrown the light, other side also constrict. Why? Because the fibers goes to both. After this point, it stimulates both. And that's why the opposite side also constricts. And this is known as consensual light reflex. So direct light reflex and consensual light reflex. There's a lot of paragraph in your presentation. So if you go by paragraph, you will get confused. Trace with me this particular fibers, and I made a flowchart like thing, clear by arrow, so you know from where the fibers goes where. Okay, and what happens? So direct pupillary reflex, the constriction of the pupil on the same side and opposite side. Same side, direct pupillary reflex. Opposite side, consensual pupillary reflex. And why this happens? Because the fibers from the pretactal nucleus projects to both the oculomotor nuclei. Both the oculomotor nuclei. And that's why the constriction will take place on both sides. At the same time, the ciliaris muscle supplied by the same fibers. Ciliary muscles are supplied by the same fibers. So when the eyes are converging, the pupil constricts and lens will become thick. That is accommodation reflex. The fiber will remain passing through the same way. From here, the fibers goes from here, the pretactal nucleus, then Edinger-Westphal nucleus of oculomotor part, and then the fibers goes to the ciliary ganglion, and then it goes to ciliaris muscle. Ciliaris muscle contracts, lens becomes thick. Pupillary sphincter pupillae contract, pupil will contract. But because the fiber coming from the same source, the pupil will also constrict and lens will also thicken when you are reading near vision. Okay, but we need a third component to make the eye come together. So we need someone who will control the movement of the eyeball, and movement of the eyeball is controlled by the frontal eye field, which is here in the frontal lobe, frontal eye field. So what happens? The fibers goes up to the visual area, and then some connection of the fibers from visual area, they are association fibers. They go to the frontal eye field, and then the frontal eye field fibers will go to the same, clear here, and the other eye also will go the same way up to the frontal eye field, and this particular oculomotor nucleus, both the oculomotor nucleus will ultimately project fibers to the both the medial recti muscles. The frontal eye field controls medial recti for convergence reflex. So accommodation, convergence of the eyeball. So the fibers from both the side will go to the oculomotor, and oculomotor goes to the fibers to the medial rectus. But this is specific fibers coming from frontal eye field, and they are just making the eyeball. If otherwise if you move this eye medially, the other eye will move laterally. Try to do. If you this, it will move like this. But because they are synchronized, conjugate movement, but because the controlling center for convergence is different, and the impulse comes from there, which moves our eyes medially when you are trying to read. Clear? So convergence, that is accommodation reflex, needs a special control center, which is frontal eye field. It is a frontal lobe, and the fibers comes from the optic area, visual area, and then the fibers goes to the frontal eye, then they go to the oculomotor nucleus, and then they go to the medial rectus. And that's how this will go from here, medial rectus, and then goes to the medial rectus. And same way for the other eye, and both the eyes does same time. And then both eye comes closer. Then the pupil will constrict by this. Ciliaris will constrict by this. So when we are reading, our eyes converge, pupil constrict, lens thickens. That is our near vision. Accommodation reflex. Accommodation reflex. Clear? So this is what is another important reflex which you should read. Clear? So this is the picture which explains everything whatever is written in previous slide. Yeah,
Doctor?
This slide. Yes.
The brown fibers, which is going to
Tactile. Yes, yes. They are for the pupillary reflex. They are for the pupillary.
Does it go from one side, or it is go from the both side, left and right?
No. It suppose this is the light you have shown. These fibers will go from here to both the side. If the light is shown on this one, the fibers will be drawn here, and again it will go to the opposite side. So whichever is the side of the eye, fiber will project to both the nuclei of oculomotor nerve from pretactile nucleus. Clear? So brown fibers will project to both the side. Clear? So that's why both the pupil will constrict. So this is what is for brown color is for pupillary reflex and consensual pupillary reflex. Clear? And the green color is for the accommodation reflex. But the fibers, oculomotor fibers, after this green color, you see, it goes to the here also, ciliaris muscle, and here also. See this one. I am talking of this green color. Now green color is this part is going to ciliary ganglion, ciliaris muscle. This oculomotor nucleus, muscle. Which muscle? Medial rectus. Same way for this side, fibers project to the same side. So ciliaris muscle for separate fibers, they don't project one fiber do not project to both. But for pupillary, they project to both. That's why you have a direct pupillary reflex and consensual pupillary reflex. While accommodation reflex does the job for both the eyes, and both are synchronized, and both are controlled by frontal eye field of both the side. Clear? So I think the point is clear. If is confusion, you can tell me now. The other is corneal reflex. It is simple. Whenever some dust particle, clear, fall on the cornea, now it is irritation. So this sensory fibers goes by ophthalmic branch of trigeminal, and they will go to the nucleus, sensory nucleus of trigeminal. From there, this will project to the motor nucleus of facial, and then the facial now will go to the orbicularis oculi. So suppose some dust is coming up, you immediately close the eye. Clear? So it is a protective reflex. Clear? Or immediately the eye will contract. Clear? So this is what is corneal reflex, blinking, reflex blinking. When the cornea is touched or some particle touches it, immediately it closes. And the fibers comes from the cornea to the trigeminal nerve, which is a sensory for the cornea. There goes to its sensory nucleus in the brain. Then it goes to a reflex arc, goes to the motor nucleus of facial, and the facial nerve control the orbicularis oculi, which we discussed. So it closes the eye. So that is corneal reflex. There is one more visual body reflex. So suppose when we are kids and suppose plane is flying, clear, and our parents say, see the plane is flying, and now you are looking at the plane, and the moment the plane moves, you are first moving your eyeball, then you start moving your head, and still further you move your trunk. Clear? So this is the body reflex, visual body reflex. Clear? Visual body reflex is automatic scanning movement in a following a moving object. First the eyeball, then the head and neck, and then the trunk. Clear? So okay, I will explain the medial longitudinal fasciculus. So let's finish this, and I will go back to that point as what is that fasciculus. I will explain. So this particular reflex is mediated by a superior colliculus. So that is the tectum of the midbrain. Tectum of the midbrain. So from the tectum of the midbrain, the fibers goes to the spinal cord. Okay, so that is what is tectospinal tract. Okay, they are going to the head and neck. So tectobulbar tract. Okay, so from optic chiasma, then the fibers from optic tract goes to the, they don't go to the geniculate body. They directly go to this particular nucleus of superior colliculus. It is in the midbrain, posterior surface of the midbrain. And from there, the fibers goes to the cranial nerves and the spinal cord, motor neurons of the spinal cord. So when you are following a moving object, clear, your eyes moves, your head and neck moves, and your trunk moves. So this is what is visual body reflex. And the center for visual body reflex is superior colliculus of midbrain. Superior colliculus of midbrain, this one. It is the center for visual reflex, visual body reflex. Clear? And last is pupillary skin reflex. When you scratch, clear, the skin, the pupil will constrict. So this is what is from the sympathetic fibers. From cervical ganglion, then they go to the carotid plexus, then go to the ciliary nerves, and then they go to dilator pupil. So pupil dilates. So pupil dilates when you scratch. Clear? So this is pupillary skin reflex, and it is mediated by the sympathetic pathway. Sympathetic pathway. The accommodation reflex, light reflex, is mediated by parasympathetic pathway, and visual body reflex is mediated by the superior colliculus, tectospinal reflex. Clear? So it is tectum of midbrain. So there are different reflexes, and their controlling centers are different. Now,
Doctor?
I will, yes.
Before you go, the spinotectal pathway, which goes from the spinal to the tectum. Does
Yeah,
it go to
spinotectal pathway is a returning pathway from spinal cord to tectum of the midbrain, this point, because it's a feedback between them. Okay, and tectospinal tract is tectum of the midbrain here, from here, to go to the spinal cord. And there is a returning pathway, spinotectal pathway. So both are ultimately ending into or starting from the tectum of the midbrain, and tectum of midbrain is superior colliculus. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Four colliculi together are known as superior, inferior colliculi. Four together is known as tectum, and that the fibers from superior colliculus specifically going to spinal cord and returning from spinal cord to colliculus is tectospinal, spinotectal pathways. So they are reciprocal pathway. They are informing each other and making our position stationary. So when you are moving, you are in balanced position. You don't fall down while moving yourself to follow a moving object. Okay, so this is what is about the tectospinal and spinotectal tract. So this finishes the, as far as this tract is concerned. I will go back to explain this longitudinal fasciculus. What happens in the brainstem? This is the brainstem. Okay, this is the medulla, this is the pons, and this is the midbrain. This is the brainstem. In the brainstem, there are different nuclei, like in the medulla oblongata, we have nucleus ambiguous, clear, vagal nucleus, test nucleus, there is nucleus tractus solitarius, there are many nuclei. Yeah, glossopharyngeal nucleus. In the bones, also different nuclei, vestibular nuclei, cochlear nuclei, clear, nuclei for the trigeminal nerve, facial nucleus, abducent nucleus. In midbrain, there are two important oculomotor and trochlear nucleus. So all these nuclei and different centers, clear, needs coordination with each other. Coordination with each other. It's like apartments, clear, multi-layer apartments, clear. And for the apartment, there is a lift. So you start the lift at the bottom, clear, start climbing the lift, clear, put a button at the 4th floor. So the lift will open at 4th floor, clear. If somebody is there, it will come up, and you want to go out, you will go out, or somebody else want to go out, it will go out. And it will connect to the 4th floor. It may connect to the 5th floor. It can connect to the 7th floor. It can connect to any other floor. So medial longitudinal fasciculus is a longitudinal bundle which connects different parts of the brainstem, different parts. And this is what is for the coordination of different nuclei, coordination. So it is going down, but somebody else will be going up also. This one is going down because the facial nucleus is below. Okay, but some will go up to the midbrain, like for mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal, it will go up. So medial longitudinal fasciculus is like a lift, and lift will open means there are fibers going out, there are fibers connecting in, and the fibers going up and fibers going down, so that each nucleus, what they are doing for others, are knowing each other. That's why my head and neck, this head and neck is very much synchronized. Otherwise, the lips will move in one way, and the tongue will move another way, the eyes will move in another way, clear? And problem will start. All should be coordinated, and all are informing each other how. Each nucleus is located at different level, located different level. So they are coordinated by a passage of this particular fibers, which is known as the medial longitudinal fasciculus or medial longitudinal bundle, MLF, very popular name in neuro. So there's a MLF, okay, medial longitudinal, and it's present throughout in the brainstem. When you take any section of the brainstem, you will find near the midline, paramedian in position, MLF. Its position is nearly in paramedian, exactly in the midline, and just beside it, somewhere you will find MLF in your diagrams. Any section you see in textbook of the neuro, and see the sections of the brainstem. Start with medulla oblongata, or take bones and even midbrain, and just see around the midline, you will find MLF written. And that is what is this fibers. Clear? So I think if any confusion is there, I can still explain. So these are all about reflexes, and last part was about the clinical, which I already mentioned. Only except optic neuritis, we have a circumferential blindness. So as a patient has a tubular vision, he has a tube-like vision, he can see only tubular. Peripheral field of vision is not seen. So it is circumferential blindness, which is common in optic neuritis. So the patient has a tubular vision, tube-like. And total blindness, we already discussed, which is number A here. We discussed the bitemporal hemianopia. Why? We discussed nasal part of retina crosses, temporal field is lost, bitemporal hemianopia, D here. C, which is for optic tract or optic radiation or visual area. Clear? What will happen? Contralateral homonymous hemianopia. If it's the right side, left half of the visions of both the field of visions are lost. Clear? So we call it contralateral because it is opposite. This is the side, this is the field. So we call it contralateral. Homonymous means similar. And hemi half. Anopia, loss of vision. So contralateral hemianopia, homonymous anopia. Hemianopia is due to damage to optic tract or optic radiation or visual cortex. Okay, so this is what is about the macular vision is here in the tip of the optic, tip of the visual area. The macula, our visual acuity is at the tip, and peripheral vision is in the front of this particular part of the area. So the occipital pole of the occipital lobe, occipital pole has the macular vision, and still front of this area is our peripheral vision. His eye is like this, and same way it is here in the occipital lobe, and this part of the eye is around it. Macula is here in the hole. And that's why nature has given the blood supply for the macular vision, clear, from two different arteries, posterior cerebral artery and middle cerebral artery. If one of the artery is blocked, other vision will be lost, but macular vision will still remain as a tubular vision. So he can still see. It is about the vascular lesions of the visual pathway. But this is what is more than enough, I think, for at your level. But when ophthalmologists will continue to explain to you in more details, go back to this particular lecture and try to correlate the facts. Then it will help you more. Yeah. So I think this is what is the different books which I have taken, the neuro also, anatomy also, and Gray's also. Different pictures are from different books, and suitable for you to read from anyone, no problem for me. But these are the different sources. And that's it for today. Learning never ends.